Have you ever wondered how we acquired language easily? Or what does language mean? Is it something that we can learn by nature or through the help of other people? Hello, I'm Ira, and today we're going to talk about language and language acquisition. We all know that language is a part of our daily lives, and it helps us communicate with other people, from expressing ourselves, like communicating about our problems, suggestions, and advices, to building a relationship with family or friends, which means it is very important. The father of modern linguistics, Noam Chomsky, explained that a language is a process of recreation. Its laws and principles are fixed, but the manner in which the principles of generation are used is free and infinitely varied. Even the interpretation and use of words involves a process of recreation. Noam Chomsky also proposed a theory of language acquisition, but we're not going to discuss that for now. In psychology, there's a term called psycholinguistics. It is also called psychology of language. Psycholinguistics is a study of language with reference to human psychology, the psychological and neurobiological factors that enables humans to acquire, use, and understand language. It covers broad topics which involves neurolinguistics, language pathology, and language acquisition. Let's talk about neurolinguistics first. It is a study of language and the brain. It simply deals with the relationship between the linguistic procedure and the human brain. It aims to know what the function of the brain is and how its structure influences the human in terms of learning how to use language properly. Neurolinguistics are said to be the domain of neurologists, involving the language impairments caused by tumors or brain injuries. Next is language pathology, the breakdown of language to at least two main angles. One is that of a medicine which attempts to help the patients regain their ability to use language, at least partially. These patients are usually the older people who has experienced stroke or a burst of blood vessel in the brain. Of course, it is not only the older people but also the young ones. However, in their case, the cause is usually involving accidents like in a car or motors. And finally, language acquisition. It is a process which can take place at any period of one's life. It refers to the acquisition or unconscious learning of one's native language, or languages in the case of bilinguals, during the first 6 to 7 years of one's life, roughly from birth to the time one starts school. It means children acquire language without the help or without being taught about the rules of grammar by their parents. There are two kinds of language acquisition. One is first language acquisition, and the other is second language acquisition. What is the difference? The first language acquisition is the children's acquisition of their own native language, which is practically indelible. In short, it is the acquisition of the mother tongue. While the second language acquisition is learning other language other than your mother tongue. It is usually after acquiring your first language. They can be bi or multilingual, meaning they acquired two or more languages from birth of at least together in early childhood. Children often experience errors during their time of learning language. Errors are regular and easily explainable. The good news is that these are naturally corrected as the child grows older. Of course, if there's a term called errors, there's also mistake. Mistakes are commonly experienced during the learning of second language. It is random, non-systematic, and usually unpredictable phenomenon. The ability of a native speaker to acquire language usually stops severely around puberty. Here are some of the things that they believe why it happens. It is said that shortly before puberty, the development or the fixing of various functions of the parts of the brain takes place. And the other reason is, after these changes before puberty occurs, it may lead to an inflexibility which causes for the language acquisition to stop proceeding to the conclusion it reached before in early childhood. There are three conditions of acquisition. Number one is natural. It is when a child is continuously exposed to the language data, like when a child always hears adult speakers talk to each other. As time goes by, he is able to acquire the language naturally. The second one is controlled. It is characterized by an ordered exposure to the data of a language, where a child's parent or someone older gives instruction to them on how to properly use language or what are the correct ways to use it. Last but not the least, guided language acquisition. This is an intermediary type between the natural and controlled. And that's the end of our discussion for today. I hope you learned something. Thank you for listening, and remember, this language acquisition is not a measurement of someone's intelligence. It isn't necessary to say that when someone learned language faster than you, could be learning language other than your mother tongue, means that they are smarter. Cheer up because you have strength that others don't have.